Guys, one of my favorite salads to make is potato salad. It was a recipe that I am fond of. My grandmother used to make this for us growing up, and for any gathering that we had, as you know, long as it was in the summer and not winter related or anything like that. So since I've grown up, I've kind of taken on that recipe as well and started making it for my gatherings and any gatherings that I attend. You should never keep good recipes to yourself. I like to share mine, even though some people don't like to share theirs because it's a secret. It's a secret. I get that. Believe me, I'm a cook. I get that. But at the same time, it's like you have this amazing recipe. Don't take it with you. Share it! And that's what I'm doing today. So I am cutting 5 potatoes into 1-inch cubes. And I believe this recipe normally calls for about 6 to 8 potatoes, but I didn't want to make a full batch. I just wanted to make a little bit because I don't want to come home with any. Since I'm the only one that eats it, I could probably get Connor to eat it, but since I'm the only one that eats it, I just don't want to waste it. So I figure the less I bring home, the less that goes to waste. So we just want to make enough for the people at the barbecue. And then hopefully it will all get eaten and I don't have to come home with it. Okay, so I just have 2 more, and then I'm going to put these potatoes under some water, and we're going to boil them until they're soft, tender, and a fork will fit right through it. I think I'm going to have to cut this one a little bit more. And make sure you look for that, you guys. So when you take one potato and you mix, or you put it up against the other, if they're similar size, fine. But if they're like oversized, I mean, look at the difference in those two. Then you guys just cut that down a little bit to kind of equal that 1 inch so that everything cooks at the same rate and that you're not undercooking or overcooking any specific potato. Everything tastes the exact same. It's all about consistency. Okay, these ones look okay. And sometimes, you know, if you can just try to get potatoes out of the potato sack that are about the same size. That way you can keep them pretty well consistent. If that's not an option for you, they're just all kind of different sizes, then just make sure that you are kind of cutting them to fit. Since I'm making potato salad and not mashed potatoes, I definitely want to make sure that these potatoes are soft but intact. Now, if you cook potatoes too long, they tend to break down. Or so you would think. The truth of the matter is, while that's true, the other factor involved is salt. If you put salt into the water, yes, it does deepen the water, but it also causes the potatoes to break down as they cook. So we don't want to add any salt into our water today. We just want to add the potatoes and water. And you just want to cover them. You don't have to fill the pot with water. So I'm going to put these up at high heat so that it starts to cook relatively quickly. And then I'm going to take shortcuts today. Normally I don't do this. I'll explain why in just a second. But normally I don't do this, but it's late. I've already got to get Connor in bed, and I just want to get this going as quickly as I can so I can get him put to bed and get our whatever else done I need to get done, because I got to get a lot done. And by shortcut, I don't mean anything processed. What I mean is that I'm just going to, instead of chopping all of the vegetables myself, I'm going to use a food processor and pulse those vegetables so that they cut quicker. And you still do need to do a little bit of legwork. So while that's coming to a boil, I am just going to kind of cut these into smaller sizes so that the food processor can break them down a little bit faster without causing too much liquid to come out. So this is one reason I don't typically do this. Oh, this has a slit in it. I don't typically put my vegetables for this kind of thing in the food processor for the simple fact that they tend to, some of these vegetables release a lot of liquid. And I don't want liquid in my potato salad. So we're gonna pulse these instead of process these vegetables so that they break down without releasing a lot of liquid. If the liquid continues to come out or comes out anyway, I'm gonna just kind of strain them out so that way I can make sure that my potato salad does not get ruined, because liquid will ruin a potato salad so quickly. All right, I just want to remove this top layer. Now, I don't like the vegetables to be too thick into this salad. They need to be a small dice because you don't want to get a huge mouthful of all of these different vegetables. You just want to get that flavor and that texture behind it. So, it sounds like it's bedtime for Connor. Cook it off, I say. Cook it off. Okay. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with these onions that I've done with everything else, and I'm just going to kind of cut them down. Oh, I guess I didn't do it with the... I'm just going to use a half of an onion, I've decided. And I'm going to just use a little bit of green pepper. Because again, I'm not making a full batch. I'm probably making about 3/4 of a batch, but not a full batch. And given that I used 5 potatoes, if for some reason I need to add more vegetables, I certainly can at another time. But right now I want to start with this because I don't want to go overboard, but I don't want too little either. So I'm just going to use a small chopper today. I'm not going to use a big one. Just about everything. All of my vegetables have been washed, so that's not an issue here. Okay, and the last thing I need to do before I get those going is I need to chop the pickles. Now, we all know pickles are full of liquid because they're actually a cucumber that's just fermented and pickled. So I don't want these pickles to release too much liquid, so I've kind of given them a little bit of a pat so that they're a little bit dry. I've cut them a little bit smaller, and I'm going to put them on the top of the chopper so that they can still chop, but that they won't, hopefully, I'm hoping that they won't add too much liquid to my processor because I don't want the liquid, as you know. Okay. I have my chopper ready to go, and I am just going to pulse, and I'll probably do this on and off for 30 seconds. See how they're getting smaller, but the liquid is kind of staying at bay? That's because I'm just chopping them quickly and not giving it a full go with the processor. Now again, I want these diced small so that you don't get a huge chunk. Okay, and I still have a couple of these in here Here, we'll just use this. Just have a couple things in here that are still in need of some chopping. Not very many though, because this is about the size that I want, but because of these little, there's a pickle and a radish that are still a little bit large, I'm gonna go ahead and just pulse it a few more times, taking care not to overdo it, if at all possible. Okay, I think that's good. Actually have okay. All right, and this is about the size that I want it to be. Just use small pieces, nothing too large, just small pieces. And just to be on the safe side, because, whoops, I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna go ahead and strain it out because I do see a little bit of liquid at the bottom and I wanna get all of that out before I put it in with the potatoes. Okay, so I have my strainer on top of a bowl, and I'm just going to get all of these vegetables into this strainer. Yeah, there is about at least a teaspoon of liquid in there, if not more. Now, one way to get the liquid out of the vegetables, if you wanted to do it ahead of time, is to set the vegetables out on a paper towel or something, sprinkle the tops with salt, and let them sit for about 30 minutes because salt draws out moisture, and that will at least help to get some of that liquid out of the vegetables. Now, I'm going to push a little bit of it through. I can hear it. I'm going to push a little bit of it through, and then I'm going to just let it sit while my potatoes boil and while they cool. That way I know for sure that they've had long enough to sit and to release their liquid. And then I don't have to worry about it getting in the salad. Okay, now that the vegetables are off to the side, I'm gonna do virtually the same thing with 2 hard-boiled eggs, because again, we're just gonna do a half batch instead of a full batch. So let's talk real quick about hard-boiled eggs. In this case, mine are actually not hard-boiled at all, but they're steamed. So basically the idea is this. So you want to take a pot of water, and depending on how many eggs that you cook will depend on how many or how big the pot needs to be. But you need to fill that pot with about 1 inch of water, and then take a steamer basket, put about 6 eggs or however many eggs you're doing. You don't want to do too many because if you crowd the pan or the pot, they won't cook. So just, let them breathe a little bit. But boil that water, put the steamer basket in that water, cover it, I would turn the burner down just like a 1 notch, so you're at a medium high or a high. I guess it would be between a medium high and a high, okay? Depending on how your stove goes. But anyway, you do that for about 15 minutes and make sure you steam them covered 15 minutes, water rapidly boiling. Once that 15 minutes is up, you have perfectly boiled eggs, and once they've cooled, you need to put them into an ice bath, like an ice water bath right afterwards, so it'll shock them and stop the cooking process, because you don't want that gray hue color. I just basically, the yolk is overcooked if it's gray at all. It needs to be bright yellow. Anyway, you put it into the ice bath and then you let it just cool down all the way. When you peel your egg, no joke, you're not going to have any problems. You're not going to have them pulling part of the white off or leaving the membrane behind. You're going to get it all, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful egg. So that is what I do with these. These are going to also go into the pot. I don't obviously need to strain them out. So I'm just going to set them aside. The potatoes are almost done. They are fork tender, but they're still a little bit too hard in texture, and I just want them to cook a little bit longer so it gets completely soft. Because when you bite into it, I don't want any crunch. I just want you to get this nice, soft, intact piece of potato. Okay, I'm just gonna test the doneness with a fork. And it goes in nicely, but it still has a little bit of give. And I don't want it to have any give because that means you have to work extra hard to chew on it. So I'll let these go for another 3 minutes and then I'm gonna check them then. Okay, my potatoes are exactly where I want them to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my burner and I'm gonna drain my water. I like to turn on the cold water so that it runs down my pipe and the hot water does not do that. It's not foolproof, but it works decently enough. Okay. I'm just going to get all the water out of there. And I'm going to let these sit and they're going to cool. I'm going to let these sit and cool, and once they have been completely cooled, we will go ahead and put it all together. I went ahead and laid out the potatoes onto some napkins or paper towels so that I could entice them to cool a lot faster than sitting in the stainless steel colander because, you know, metal traps heat. So there you have it. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick these up. Kind of broke on me. Pick them up and put them in the bowl. Okay. Got my potatoes here, and I'm just putting them. I'm gonna mix all of this in the bowl that I'm gonna store them in. I'm going to add my vegetables now, and you guys, full disclosure, I completely forgot to add a stalk of celery. So I went ahead and took the liberty of cutting one up, mincing it, and just sticking it in the bowl with all the vegetables so that if there was any liquid that it could also drain. I have about like a couple of tablespoons in there of liquid, so putting them over or straining them out was a good idea. So we're going to go ahead and add our vegetables now, not the liquid, just the vegetables. I'm going to go ahead and add our eggs. And you guys, when you stir this up, you want to be gentle because the potatoes are somewhat fragile. So we don't want little itty bitty chunks of potato everywhere. We want to keep our potatoes intact. All right, that's done. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our Miracle Whip in. And I'm going to start with a half of a cup. The original recipe calls for a full cup, but because I kind of cut it in half, I just want to start with a half cup so I'm not overdoing it, and we'll play it by ear. If I have to add more, I will. Yellow mustard, standard yellow mustard. If you can see this lightning bug flying around, I'm very, very sorry. It just kind of got in here and I don't know how. Okay, we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard. And before anybody says, well, you opened the door, we know that. But I just mean, I don't know at what point this thing came in today. I've never seen it before. It's a new face around here. All right. Just mix it in really well. And I can already tell that I'm going to need to put a little bit more Miracle Whip in here because it's just not the way I want it yet. But we're getting there. I can see that it is getting there. Okay. And at this point, I'll just start with tablespoons at a time. Because I don't want to add too much. And I'm going to stop there until I taste it. Mainly because I don't want to overdo it, like I said. And we look like we're getting there, so I want to make sure that if I do add any more, that it's absolutely necessary. And this stuff will stick to your spoon. All right. Now, I just want to give it some, there we go. Some salt. I really need it. We need to just salt it up here. Don't go crazy, but remember you are salting potatoes. So you need to be generous. Don't go crazy, but be generous. All right, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and flick it about the room. I'm going to give it a taste here because I want to know where we stand. Well, I can tell you a couple of things. 1, we need more Miracle Whip. 2, more salt. 3, it's going to be good. That was a given because I have had this recipe like my whole life. And it's just a matter of getting the ratios of Miracle Whip to mustard. Now I have enough mustard in here, so I'm not going to add any more unless the Miracle Whip I just added knocks that flavor completely out. Okay. Stick it. All right, I was a little bit more generous with the salt this time. All right. Okay. Let's taste it, make sure that we've got our ratios correct. A little bit of potato. There we go. There's Grandma's potato salad. My God. This is the perfect blend of vegetables, eggs, condiments, salt. It's just amazing. This is my favorite recipe. I love it so much. Like, I cannot wait to share it with the people at the barbecue because they're going to love this just as much as I do. And with that, we are all done. Now, this will just need to chill for at least 2 hours before you can serve it. That way, all the flavors mesh together better than they already are. and you always want to serve potato salad cold. I want to thank you guys for joining us or joining me today. I want you guys to try these recipes at home, as always, because having new recipes and trying new things, you're doing yourself a favor. You never know. This could be like the world's best potato salad, and only my family knows it. So I'm sharing it with you so that you guys will also know it. I'm just saying. So thank you guys so much for coming. It's been a great time for me. I'm having a blast. Be sure to like my video, subscribe to my channel, and you can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram at Rachel's_kitchen_table. And you guys, I cannot wait to see you again. Let me know in the comments if you tried any of my recipes and what you thought. You guys, thanks again. We'll see you next time. Happy eating!